Oh, absolutely. I think if they went for the Rumble, you know, with the center pairing, you know, hit a Harpoon on lane on either champion, it's so hard to deal with, especially when the ult comes out later on. Both the mobile champions, they're going to, like, it's so hard for them to deal with the Rumble, and they can't really zone Rumble or farming either, because, you know, no one wants to stand between a Harpoon and creep. There's so much damage, but I think it's completely fine to put the Ornn in bot lane. I feel like this game is going to play out as we're going to see Aphelios and Ornn left in bot, and it's going to be a 4v4 on the top side. I think this is what the game plan that Dials needs, because they have to snowball. I don't really see them having a very easy time in the mid game if this is a, you know, even or a head game for Bliss.
It does seem a little bit brutal, right? The fact that if, you know, the Ahri or the Xin doesn't really explode into action with their strong 2v2, then you are really putting it down to a level 6 Vi, suddenly finding a target, finding access, and then you've got literally everybody jumping into the backline, right? Bio laying down the grey carpet, the red carpet, I should say. I suppose it makes you grey because you do die in the end. But then all that range from like a Tristana and a Senna coming on through thereafter. And I mean, with Ornn, it's always that easy go button, right? Such a long engage with that ultimate. Really makes up for some of the weaknesses of the short-range comps. But let's get ourselves into the game. You mentioned before some of the game plan for Direwolves would be to snowball, but let's expand upon the 4v4 a little bit more. What should then Bliss's game plan be? Just passively scale through, or do you want it to be pretty proactive as well?
Well, see, the thing with Bliss comp is they can be proactive or they can just scale, because they're pretty comfortable with their scaling. You know, when you think of Vi, you think, oh, the champ isn't very good at scaling. Xin's out would probably give the edge to Xin in the scaling department, but when you pair Vi with so much dive and the ability to, you know, do so much damage in the late game, it only matters if Kevy is able to hit the Assault and Battery onto the right targets, because you get followed up with the Ornn ult, with the, you know, the grey carpet, as we've worded it, and he's done his job. So he's going to be able to scale to this game really well. I don't think they're too uncomfortable about, you know, if this game is, you know, even heading into mid game. There's always the Tristana threat later on into the game. You know, Ahri can't really match that scaling, but Guapi does have the ability to set up the damage for his team, and I think that's a very underrated thing about Ahri in the, you know, mid-late game team fights.
Does it almost feel right then to say that Bliss's game plan, there's more outs, like they have more options compared to Direwolves? It's like you must snowball, or you simply will just not be relevant once mid to late comes around?
Yeah, definitely they have more outs, and I think in the past when we look at Bliss's drafts, they have been very, you know, one-dimensional, and they don't really have room for, you know, misplays, as we see a lot of like these 5 carry threat comps, but now they've gone for a lot more of a standard comp, a lot more options, a lot more flexibility, and I think that, like, even if Bliss does mess up the early game, as we have seen in the past happen quite frequently, they'll be a lot more comfortable.
Well, let's see then how this early game does play out. Whilst we've been talking, obviously there's a bit of trading between primarily mid as well as bot to try and get things online. You see Violet do a fair chunk onto Shinky, who may be used to playing the tanky supports. He's going to drop himself down to 50% very early on, but with a few of those...
is better at pushing waves than Ahri. Ahri has to focus using spells on the wave, and if he does that, he can't trade.
Can't trade, but can we see ourselves a potential first blood here as that Zorg is not wanting to fall on down, burning the flesh, and not falling victim to the first gank of the game with a nice little adventure time through that wall. So Mochi with double buffs is going to be forced to retreat to the bot side.
Yeah, so you see Mayfan getting very low here from a trade coming out of Bio. I do think they have dive threat onto this if he does decide to stay around. I have to see, like, if Kevin wants to commit to this dive after the crab. He is definitely sitting in heat range for the amount of damage he has here, and they don't have access to the ignite, so this might be a harder dive if he's able to pull the wave like he is doing right now.
Bio was making sure that his heat would stay stacked up as high as it could be. Stun goes out, flashing out of range, and he's done it. The Madman has pulled it off successfully. Incredibly low, but the first blood does go Bliss's way.
Yeah, almost really well played there by Mayfan. You know, flash and get the reposition on the Scani. We've seen, like, time and time again, the hitbox on this is nigh instant, so it's very hard to react to, very hard to outplay, but fortunately, not enough damage coming out of there, and they're able to pick up the easy first blood.
More aggression to be found than in the mid lane, with Harry getting aggressive, knowing that there's not going to be any kind of gank coming his way soon, so just jumping on your head, making you get punished for it, and making a massive CS lead start to work in his favour. Going to play towards the top half of this lane too, having just put a control board down in that bush. And I suppose put Guapi in a bit of a predicament. How do you want to get to level 6? You've already burnt the TP, and you know, how are you going to get bailed out of this?
Yeah, he should be fine, you know, with the Ahri passive, the extra bit of sustain, it's not really going to be too bad. His wave state, like, it's pushing into him, he gets the base, you know, unfortunately it's not on the cannon wave, so this wave is going to crash before he's going to be able to get back to lane if he does decide to commit the recall, so he's going to miss out on, like, probably 1 or 2 melee creeps, which, you know, is pretty bad, but it's not too bad based on how the lane is going for him in the 1v1, so he's going to come back, be able to pick up the XP anyway, but Harry once again just finding push over and over again just due to, like, the power of Tristana. That's why we're seeing this champ be, like, one of the strongest, if not the strongest champs on the patch currently.
It seems to be that way. First rotation means that a first blood happens topside. Nani look to use that tempo to go for the very first Drake. Running Q2, 5 minutes in. Quite nice to see that, actually. Given that we've had this overwhelming majority of players say, you know what, forget the Dragon, we want the Grubs, we want a siege, we want to set up, and we want to punish in that regard instead. So Infernal Drake off the board, unfortunately for us. No Infernal Soul, and with Ocean being taken too, then maybe there's a dream in which the Hextech Soul comes out to play.
Yeah, and another thing to touch on here, because of the center on, like the flexibility this has in the game, we might see, you know, Violet come out of base, roam up towards the Grubs if they want to fight this, because, you know, in the 4v4, they should be much stronger than Direwolves, and, you know, they don't, if Direwolves decide to, you know, trade the Grubs away, they don't really have the threat to dive into the Ornn, but they are committing to a dive here and buy. This is a stacked wave. He doesn't have flash, so this should be pretty easy for them to commit, but, you know, we see it coming out of base. Kevy and Violet, let's see if they can make it here on time.
There's no flash, but needs this wave to crash. There it is, level 6. All it took was 1 minion. He burns the Equalizer on the wave because he knows he's getting dived. The Impale is there. He's been suppressed, dragged out of turret range. That's actually kept Mayfan alive as Guapi takes the reins and grabs the aggro.
Harry.
Maybe Kevy entertains the idea if he had ultimate of his own, but he does not. So Harry's then forced to pick up the pieces. They won't be greedy and go for the 2. They'll say Mayfan's a sure thing. Let's make sure that Harry gets his first kill online.
Yeah, this is going to be easy for Harry to push out. If they decide to stay top, he can even, you know, match that himself. Kevy's going to go for the Grubs and pick up that very easy if Mochi decides to walk into River. Harry's always going to have the rotation. He's much stronger than the Ahri in the skirmish right now, and we have Bio coming out of base as well, so it's going to be a pretty easy pick up for them. And, you know, unfortunately, Bliss, you know, lost the bot place because the, you know, Violet was on the top side when the wave crashed. So it's a little bit of gold coming back to Cat 3, and this is the play we need to talk about for Direwolves. This is the one who needs to get the gold, the one who needs to come online, and their main win condition.
Will be their main win condition, right? We've seen him in recent times. It'd be the Aphelios, sometimes even the Lucian, and on the rare occasion, dabbles with a little bit of Kaiser too. Certainly all champions that fit the bill of being that, you know, 1v9 machine, and certainly farming up an absolute storm right now to put him in that contention. Unable to reset back to base is Aladoric. We'll be hunting for level 6 as well to match that of the Direwolves 2v2. But locked underneath the turret is going to be biding their time, waiting to see who pops their head in next.
Yeah, and I think this early game is going to come down to Harry as well, because how much of a gap he has in mid lane right now, I believe he's able to push the wave and constantly, you know, pressure sides, you know, fake fog and make sure people are like, oh, Tristana could be roaming bot, we need to respect this right now. So I expect to see, instead of hitting turrets when Harry's in fog wall, they're going to play to, you know, just back off and reset.
Well, the pressure rings true, though, in this bot lane. Violet, no doubt, will be farming up an absolute storm, making sure those soul stacks are in a good spot. What did you mention before? It was like 5 stacks a minute was a good measure? Yeah,
but like once again, in the laning phase, it's very hard to find stacks, you know, versus double range champs. You, as Senna, need to, you know, proc a spell and then an auto or 2 autos back to back to be able to get a stack. And then, you know, kind of the RNG when it comes to creeps in the early game, not very good. But when you hit that mid game point, you're able to link up with your jungler. A lot of souls you get will come from jungle camps dying. Actually, the drop rate is much higher. And pair that with, you know, the amount of ways you're able to, you know, catch as you're following around your carries throughout the map. You know, that's when you really start to power spike on the souls.
No doubt about it. Obviously, at this point, no Mitre left as well, so that ability to weave in those spells is going to be even harder to do now. So it feels like they are long overdue a reset back to base. But whether or not they'll be afforded it without intervention from Kevy, who seems to be resetting and pathing towards this lane, that might be the break point here. Is Shinky looking to try and threaten there with another magical journey, but ends up copping a fair bit of damage in retaliation instead. So with Kevy in the area, it looks like Direwolves are aware of this. They've got wards fairly advanced up, and you can see that Mochi's also pathing towards this, so we might see a clashing of 2.
Yeah, and something to touch on, we haven't seen the Bard go for any roams yet. I don't know whether that's because he thinks, you know, it's way too hard for me to impact mid right now. Like, he has no treads, we don't have the damage to threaten this Tristana, he's too mobile, or whether he just wants to really tunnel in on the laning phase for the Bard. But, you know, I think there are other champions who could have done, you know, lane pressure better than the Bard, so we have to see, like, what Shinky does. You know, I assume after this next base will be, you know, because he has access to the level 6, what he really wants to do with this game.
I suppose he's a bit of a predicament, isn't he, Shinky? It's like, do we want to try and continue to win bot lane, or do I need to try and bail out Guapi? Because he continues to fall further and further behind, now down 35 CS, which is a rough spot to be in, because it really is just opening the door for Harry to say, not only am I crushing you in the lane, I've also gone for a coal, so like my snowball is going to be out of control.
Yeah, Harry is definitely like on the clock. We see like he's chovying right now in the CS department. He's very happy with how his game is going. He pretty much never has to base because he has, you know, he's so much sustained from the fleet, from like, you know, the Cull and the Doran's Blade. He can just stay in lane all the time, just stack up as much gold as possible, get to his 2-item power spike, and really just take over the game.
You can see him any single time we pan into the mid lane, it's just Guapi running away, unable to answer back, right? It's just So brutal, the trading patterns, as Kevy might be sniffing out trouble, might be looking to jump across the wall. What do you do when the Vi just point blank knocks you in the air and says there's an ultimate? But that's really overkill at this point, because they take Guapi down for the first time this game.
Yeah, unfortunately, even though Guapi does go down before the Assault Battery lands, it does go on cooldown. That is the interaction. It goes on cooldown as soon as you cast it, not when you land. So Kevy wastes his ult there, even though they do find the kill. This is just, you know, Harry creating this advantage for his team. You know, he keeps, you know, being able to jump forward and they can't trade back. He's got the Merc, so like, even if the charm does land, the CC duration is just not there. So like, the gank threat is pretty much non-existent onto him. He creates priority. He is outscaling. He's winning the early game. He's doing everything he needs right now.
He's doing it to get back into the game, as we do actually get back into that one. That's a bit of a coincidence. Good timing on our end, as we do see what takes place after that dragon falls on down. Cloud Soul up for grabs then, which might not actually be too bad, because all that extra movement speed could be pretty good for both sides.
Yeah, Mochi does manage to steal away the grub there, so, you know, at least Styles are able to get something, but, like, once again, they're playing around their win condition. They're making sure Katsuri is able to push, able to get plays and get... As long as he's online, there's always a win condition from Direwolf. So, like, even though, like, as a Direwolf fan, you look at this game and say, oh, it's, like, so... It's very hard for us to play. It's so doomed. As long as Katsuri is on the clock, if he's online, if he's getting his items, he's getting his experience, he's getting his CS, he can still carry this game.
He certainly can still carry this game. You can hit that 2-item breakpoint with the Collector into an Infinity Edge. I tell you what, you will be one-shotting people. It will hurt. We saw it earlier today from Raze. And we certainly know it's possible by Katsuri as well. 2 plates remain. That's a lot of gold that they can look to try and cash in, hence the priority to sit in this lane for as long as possible. And for Mochi, just the shadow more than anything. They know that he's here. He's on vision. And in their face, Team Bliss decide to force the fight. They actually zone them back out. Out comes the Call of the Forge Gold. In comes the TP. Harry, with all the gold he has, instantly rocket jumps into effect. This is Mochi. You're the next one on my target. Flashing in your face, Katsuri hits the red weapon ultimate and tries to get some life back, but not enough life to be found, as 2 becomes 4, and the Tristana is unstoppable.
Yeah, this is just really well played by Violet. You probably wouldn't notice it, but like, he lands the root on the minion dying, so the AoE procs onto Katsuri. He gets CC'd on the turret. Aladoric a bit lost on the Ornn mechanics there, decides to go in with the E when he doesn't have the knockup available, so like, they weren't able to find the kill instantly, but with the Call of the Forge God, with the TP, it's just a very easy cleanup coming out of that side of Bliss.
We do love to see it when things all work out in the end, but I'm absolutely terrified now for Guapi. How does he respond to this matchup? Because we saw it happen earlier today, right, where Doraemon was wanting to just stay out of the lane from Zornis, didn't ever want to participate. How does Cesare get back into this one as Biopanther goes in with the equalizer, drops him down low, the Impale comes out, Mayfun thinks he survived, but then Kevy rocks up and hits him with the Deja Vu for the second time.
Yeah, it definitely feels bad, man. Like, Mayfan thought he finally found the kill angle, but Kevy is just everywhere on the map. Kevy's always where he needs to be. He's using his ult off cooldown. As we do go into replay, we get to see the interaction with Violet, finding the root onto Katsuri. It kills on the minion here, hits the root, which means Katsuri CC'd up. Doesn't even matter, this knockup doesn't land, because TP's coming through, and with the Call of the Forge Gold, which doesn't get cancelled, unfortunately, by the Bard ult, means that the sums are down, which means Harry can easily, you know, clean up with the how much damage he has right now. And even Violet landing another root here onto Katsuri again is the reason they find the second kill.
They certainly do. 1 was enough, but 2 is certainly the icing on the cake for them. As at the 14-minute mark, Team Bliss, well, they've basically got themselves a 5k gold lead, sitting very, very comfortable. You'd imagine the lion's share of that gold being certainly in Harry's back pocket, as he's not even going to entertain the idea of hitting that turret. Just going to let that wave get denied underneath. But now we find ourselves a cheeky opportunity to find a kill in mid lane, and it's enough to warrant a flash.
Yeah, definitely. You always have to respect the Bard ult coming out. It's just so easy to, you know, line up your abilities or your CC straight after the cooldown is out. Everyone's familiar with this, the cooldown of Zhonya's or Bard ult, so it's just very easy to line up, and I think this is when it gets very scary for Direwolves, because, you know, Harry's in the side lane, and this is when he's able to really take over the game if he's enabled. He has so much, you know, he really has a decent amount of items in his inventory, unfortunately not going for the Infinity Edge second, which I think is the better option than going the double attack speed items, but Guapi doesn't have ult here, and Kevy's ult is almost off cooldown.
So it is almost off cooldown, but it's even required at this stage. Dawning Shadow from mid to bot connects, gets the assist, and 3 members share the gold around. Mayfun returning back to lane, realizing that, look, this Rumble matchup is a little bit too much to bear right now, because I will set their eyes on the prize, and that is protect the president, and in this case, the president is Katsuri, looking to try and find his first kill of the game. He's died once, but now he's going to kill to equalize that KDA. The bomb on Katsuri's head, Violet looking for more, Mochi forced to jump away, the Chakram's still spinning, unable to persevere, as he will fall down to the center in the end. A shutdown goes the way of Mochi, who most importantly gets all that gold claimed from Harry's Tristana, but Shinky may have just done enough to escape death today.
Yeah, and that's some goal going in the hands of Direwolves. That's what they need. Like they've blown a lot of summoners throughout these like skirmishes they keep finding, but you know that's just the only window to really you know punish. As we do see, Bliss are the ones who are aggressing here. We see Algor throughout called the Forge Goal, but the rest of his team isn't here, so this is just a bit of inting on his part. But like going into the replay, we see you know how hard it is to kill this Ornn. He's so tanky, he's so farm up, so much time for Harry to be able to rotate in and you know find the damage he does onto Katsuri, even though with the stun landing and with Violet, you know, not helping his teammate out to take down Mochi, because he really wants to take out his 80 carry counterpart.
So he does, and it says, I can be a support, I can get no farm, but I'm still getting stacks, I've got the souls, and I'll claim yours as well. So a double kill in Violet's back pocket certainly feels quite nice. 9 kills to 3 then. Certainly has been Team Bliss favoured, but Direwolves have answered back for the first time, it feels like, truly this game. Finding at least something in the middle. Another Dragon up and available, and Team Bliss, you know, certainly want to make sure it goes their way. Fantastic charm on the tail end there. They thought they did enough, fleshing out that Tempered Fate, but Violet is the focus. Mochi jumps in, he's bitten off more than he can chew, because that equalizer means that nobody can back him up. Guapi jumps in to follow his jungler, and he also shares the same fate. The heal is there, it's good from Katsuri, but Harry says, here, have a present as you run away, and Shinky parts away. Yeah, unfortunately, he doesn't find the right person with the, you know, the E there, but still a win for Bliss. And like when we take stock of this game, like what can Direwolves really do? Because you look at the side lanes, they can't play to the Tristana. They can't trade on the Rumble side because you can always just throw the Equalizer down, clear the wave, and back off. Their only real window is to engage on the 3 mid. They have to punish the center flash with the Bardol. But even then, they can't really abuse the 3v3 because of how strong these 3 champs in the Vi, the Senate, and the Ornn are right now. Yeah, it's one of my concerns about this game plan, right? Obviously, we know Direwolves, they've been so sure, so certain in what their game plan should be, but I feel like a team as well-versed as Team Bliss should know how to try and respond to that, and that is exactly what they've done in this game. I tell you what, though, mind the gap. Look at Harry, nearly at 10,000 gold, and his closest teammate is 3k behind.
Yeah, Harry has just had an absolute field day this game. He's got, I think it was 10 plates already. You know, he's fighting multiple solo kills. He's getting all the farm he needs. He's just creating so much pressure on the map.
Charm, Dawning Shadow, get an assist and make sure that Guapi is zoned out of the base. Basically a win at this point, right? Down to 50%, and that lane becomes free again, up by 70. It is just a starter right now. This time there is no flash to get you out of harm's way, so that Tempered Fate will connect. Violet's the focus, but Mochi has to turn around, protect Katsuri. His attention is diverted. He then jumps back in, but it's a case of who can dive the 80 carry quicker. Mochi wins, so does Kevy. The junglers show that they are a massive factor in this one as well. And then Guapi with nowhere to run. He's got no flash. He's got no Spirit Rush. He is just getting burned on the barbecue.
Yeah, and as easy as that, we get to see once again, every single time there is a window for Direwolves to go on mid, Bliss just had his members. They just are always there to respond. And even though Violet does fall down in the end, it's always a favorable trade for Bliss. We see what Mayfire can do on the Skana here.
He's trying to be crazy, he's trying to be clever, and unfortunately for him, he's drifted into a wall and fallen on down. So a little bit of Scorpion meat on the menu for them. Yet another turret falling on down. 3-1. The map becomes even easier for Bliss to play around, and what was a humble 5k lead is about to become 10.
Yeah, and we haven't really been able to see what this Skana can do so far, Skimming, because it's just constantly put in these like rough matchup, you know, abuse members, which is most likely going to be Katsuri this game. They can come back into the game, and it's a very narrow avenue. They don't really have many options to be able to play this game based on how much gold they are down, how many turrets they've already been taken down by Harry in the side lane. It's just going to be all about finding these shutdowns onto the right members, you know, maybe trading in objectives, you know, putting Katsuri in a side lane, using the Bard as like a roaming tool to be able to, you know, finally get these shutdowns.
Let's see what they can accomplish, because they're going to need a whole bunch of help from the game itself to allow them back into this one. And I don't know if this is correct, but is this the first time we've seen somebody go for the questing boots, right? The, what do they call it? Symbiotic Souls?
Yeah, the Symbiotic Souls. We haven't really seen this one. This is the new item in, well, I guess after the new patch update. It's the replacement for mobility boots, and like what it does is you get Baron Recall, and then you have a quest where you need to, you know, travel a certain amount of distance on the map, and when you get that, you finally get the mobility boot upgrade where you get the extra move speed out of combat. It's very nice on like, you know, Bard, especially because you want to be, you know, recalling and roaming, but I think there are some mid laners who can abuse this item, like, you know, the Zoe who just like pushes a wave instantly and can like get off the map, and see Harry just absolutely blow up Shinji.
I was so ready for your play-by-play, but like he's going so quick, he's running it into base. Like he just went for a portal and died during animation. So sad. Either way though, 1 becomes 2. They're going to hunt down for their 3rd kill. Kevy gets amongst us, says, give me an assist. Do I need to burn ultimate? These fists will get it done. He's now on a rampage, and right on cue, they go to Baron.
Yeah, and I think that with this Baron, it's going to be very easy for Bliss to close out this game or get in a position to be able to just completely dominate the entire map. I expect the rest of the inner turrets to be broken, if not multiple inhibitors, just based on like how far they are ahead. And I think, you know, for Direwolves, it's hard to say that like you to be in a position where you need to start talking about the next game, but I would say that it's better to just focus on what you could have, you know, don't worry too much about this game because of the game state and really focus on what's to come.
Yeah, it's happened. It is what it is. It's rough. Let's run it back with another draft with a different outcome. Fingers crossed. Guapi surrounded by multiple members. Shinky there to back him up, but a blast cone that actually saves the day for both of them, it would seem. The shortest magical journey that Guapi struggles to click, and is that his demise as a result? Tempered Fate. Fantastic. Harry having jumped in there, thinking he's found the kill, but a Spirit Rush denying it all.
Yeah, unfortunately not enough damage there, but Guapi has to blow his ult, which means he's not going to have that same engaged threat onto the carries coming out of Bliss. So I think with this Herald, there's going to be a huge push coming out of Bliss.
Unbelievable. Look at that. 6 Void Grub stacks. They've got a Herald. They're going to summon another legion of these mites to hit this turret in a second. That turret ceases to exist, as does Mochi. Dies at the same time that the base comes crumbling on down. They're going to look to go for this inhibitor, and thereafter, do they look to try and go for the end? How many times have we seen today? Alone. 6 stacks means all it takes is 1 kill to open up the base to end the game. Violet might have something to say, though, as he drops his HP criminally low. And does that dissuade them? Because they actually now will turn their attention to mid as Bio has prepped that wave.
Does have access to the heals. You know, he can stay around a bit longer. As we just see the engage coming out, and I think this might be lights out for Direwolves.
Well, the Forge God jumps on through. Redemption coming on down and need a little bit more help to try and persevere through all of this pain, because they've just found 2 so quickly and so effortlessly. Look at that Moonlight Vigil. That's with only 1.5 items. Forgetting about the Collector, rushing the IE. Katsuri was there. He just needed a little bit more, but Bliss denied it. And Bliss are exuding their class. 4 and 20 on the kills. They're sitting pretty, and they're happy at the 22-minute mark.
Yeah, and a different identity we're seeing out of Bliss. You know, we're really used to seeing the Violet Alidoro show all about the carry bot lane, but they take a step back, they play the defensive bot lane, and they're like, Harry, you know, it's your turn, you take over the game. And he definitely has the potential to absolutely destroy games as we've just seen.
Well, he certainly was the star of the show in that game. It was a bit of a Tristana masterclass, to put it lightly, in terms of getting a lead, exuding the lead, pushing it into all other areas of the map, and really allowing us to say that they are the favourites for a